It is May 19th, 2026, 23 days from the opening ceremony at the Azteca, 23 days from the moment the biggest World Cup in football history is supposed to begin. And this morning, FIFA is in crisis talks with Iran. Not meetings, not schedule updates, crisis talks over whether a qualified nation, a team that earned its place through 2 years of competition across the entire Asian football continent, will actually be on a plane to the United States when their Group G campaign starts in Los Angeles on June 21st. That conversation is happening today, right now as you watch this, and it's the most visible thread in a crisis that has been building around this tournament for months, one that touches workers, fans, host cities, and the fundamental question of whether FIFA can actually deliver on the promises it made when this tournament was awarded 8 years ago. 23 days, 6 stories, all of them breaking at once. Let's go through every single one. Let's start with Iran, because this is the situation that has escalated the most dramatically this week, and understanding the full sequence of events requires going back further than most coverage has gone. Iran qualified for the World Cup. They earned it. They're scheduled to play all 3 of their group stage matches in Los Angeles, against the United States on June 21st, against Egypt on June 25th, and against New Zealand on June 29th. These fixtures were confirmed when the draw was made in Washington in December. In late February, a regional conflict broke out. The fallout created immediate questions about Iran's ability and willingness to send a team, staff, and officials to the United States. Iran's Football Federation president, Mehdi Taj, flew to Toronto with a delegation for the FIFA Congress in Vancouver. He had a valid visa, he landed at Pearson International Airport, and he was denied entry by Canadian immigration officials, turned away at the border. The stated reason was his alleged links to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC. Canada classified the IRGC as a terrorist organization in 2024. Taj and his delegation boarded the first available flight back to Turkey, calling the treatment at the airport an insult to the Iranian nation. The consequences were immediate and significant. Taj returned to Iran and announced publicly that Iran's participation in the World Cup would depend on guarantees from the United States and FIFA that the IRGC would not be insulted during the tournament. He named specific conditions: entry for players and staff who have served in or have connections to the IRGC, the presence of Iran's flag and national anthem at all matches, increased security for the delegation, and a formal assurance of respect for Iranian military institutions. Here's what makes this crisis different from every previous dispute about Iran's participation. The IRGC classification is not just a diplomatic issue, it's a legal one. The United States, like Canada, designates the IRGC as a terrorist organization. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said directly that no one with ties to the organization would be admitted to the country. Iran has placed the responsibility for getting its players and officials into the U.S. firmly in FIFA's hands, and as of 11 hours ago, this morning, FIFA and Iran are in what are being described as crisis talks over a resolution. The Iran squad has been named. Veterans Mehdi Taremi and Ali Reza Jahanbakhsh are included. The squad is preparing in Turkey, but as of today, May 19th, their visas have not been confirmed. The IRGC entry question has not been resolved, and the tournament is 23 days away. This is not a hypothetical anymore. This is a live operational crisis. Here's where things get interesting, because the Iran situation is the headline, but it's running parallel to a story in Los Angeles that has been quietly building since April and exploded into football news this week. 2,000 workers at SoFi Stadium, the venue hosting 8 World Cup matches including the opening U.S. match against Paraguay on June 12th, do not have a finalized labor contract. Not unresolved minor details, no contract at all, with 23 days to go. The union representing those workers is Unite Here Local 11. Cooks, bartenders, servers, dishwashers, food service employees, the people who will be serving 69,000 fans at every match at SoFi. And they have issued a strike threat that nobody at FIFA or at Kroenke Sports and Entertainment, the stadium's owner, has publicly addressed. The union's three demands are specific and documented: an official declaration guaranteeing that ICE, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, will have no role at World Cup matches in Los Angeles; protection of workers' jobs during the tournament; support for affordable housing programs for hospitality workers in a city where the cost of living has reached crisis levels. The ICE demand is the crucial one, because the acting director of ICE, Todd Lyons, publicly confirmed that his agency would play a, quote, key role during the World Cup. That statement from the head of federal immigration enforcement about the world's biggest sporting event was the trigger for the union's escalation. 2,000 workers who feed and serve 69,000 fans per match heard the head of ICE say his agency would be present at their workplace, and they responded by saying, "Then we won't be there." Maria Hernandez, an organizer for Unite Here Local 11, put it plainly in a statement this week. Without these cooks, without these dishwashers, without these servers, there are no games.